box. Stop, look and watch. Ready yet? Get set. It's all that.
Just an introduction before we blow your mind. The show was all of that, and yes, we do it all the time. So sit your booty on the floor or in a chair, ground or in the air. Just don't go nowhere, 'cause everything we do, we're entertaining you, my posse and my crew. So sit still, 'cause we're coming right back. This is all that. This is all that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Addy&Andy's Real Good Blog Podcast.
Hi, I'm Addy,
I'm Andy.
and this is our blog post for you, and we promised one for you, so here it is. We got over 20 likes on Facebook.
And as everybody knows, one like is equal to 100 people saying that they like it.
So we got like
We got about
200,000
people who said that they liked what we were doing was a really good thing that we were doing, and that we should do it even more than we are.
So we're doing it.
We said to you, "Here it comes," and you said, "Where?" And we said,
We gotta wait for a couple of days.
"The best
And then-
things in life of mice and men," we said. We reminded you.
And we have mice.
We've
Do
got-
you want to tell them the joke about the mice?
Yes.
Do we have? Okay.
Yeah. So here's a joke about mice.
Huh.
It's funny already. So two mice were in a subway. And one of the mice walked up to the other mouse and said, "What's wrong with you?" And the other mouse said, "I got assaulted."
There are a lot of variations on the mouse joke, you can tell. So one variation is the one mouse goes up to the other mouse and says, "Hey, is everything okay?" And then the other mouse goes, "I don't know, is it?" And that's one of the variations on it.
Yeah,
that you can tell.
It's a lot like the first one.
So it's
pretty much it's a joke that has anything you want it to have.
We have this theory that, and this maybe it's a little too early to start getting into
theories.
the philosophy here, right? But we have this theory that like that anything could be a joke if you want it to be, and that's one of them. Or it isn't. Or it isn't, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what you think it is, because for all anybody knows,
it's already that or it's not. And I'm thinking about making a website actually for.
What's it gonna be called?
Well, I haven't looked for the domain names yet, but there's
Everything is covered in crumbs.
but there's but that's another variation on the joke actually that we entertained. The website's going to be micejokes.com.
Micejokes.com.
And it's going to be
horsejokes.com.
Well, it is partnered with horsejokes.com, which is already a thing.
But it's that's another person's website. It's not ours.
Yeah.
We wouldn't buy we would just make animaljokes.com. That would be the domain. And then there would be two sub websites /horses or
mice jokes.
/mice jokes.
And so you pick either horses or mice jokes if you want horse jokes or mice jokes. And yeah, that's that. So that's in the works. It's one of the things we have that's coming soon.
So keep your eyes peeled, fellow travelers.
Keep it.
For we
Keep them open, and we'll have it to you real soon. So is that all the administrative stuff that we have for the beginning here? It's been a while since we've done a video.
That's funny. Every time I go to see my insurance agent, he starts off with talk about numbers and stuff, and then he says, "Is that all the administrative stuff that we have to do today?" And then he launches into...
It's funny because when I go see my stylist, she always says, when I walk, which she
does it all.
All this, like from the neck up, my stylist, and I'd like to give a shout out to Miss Mavis Grunbaum.
Mm-hmm.
She works out of this little town near us.
If anybody wants to get her pager number, then you
Horsetown.
It's a one horse
town.
One horse pager town. Then you give Addy an email at Addy at horses are really cool, and anybody who doesn't think they're
really cool doesn't know what they're
talking about.
.com.
.com.
You send that to me, and we'll get right on it.
Subject line: this is an email about Mavis
Grunbaum, who is a really, really cool Austrian lady, and she doesn't like robots, so don't bring robots into the studio. We call it the studio. It's not like a salon or a.
What's the lighting like?
It's very dark in there. We don't like to have lights on because if you do, then
I get it.
It's not natural anymore. It's all planned,
Mm-hmm.
like robots. So we don't like the.
I get it.
I
didn't realize that. That's
and
good.
so we turn all the lights off, and there are a lot of things, scissors and blades of various kinds, and crayons and stuff, and
insecticide.
And as you can see, it turns out pretty well when you go. So I recommend Miss Grunbaum for that. So
go early and go often. That's what I always say.
It's the early bird gets the deals, as the saying goes.
2 for 1. 2 for 1 haircuts. 2 haircuts at the same time for the price of one.
For the price of one. She'll do as many haircuts at the same time as you want her to do.
As long as she can count that high.
Yeah. And she can count pretty high for being an Austrian.
Who couldn't?
And Austrians can't usually count very high. So, yeah. So
I didn't know that about Austrians.
It's actually a pretty well-established fact, Andy. It's pretty.
Just proves to you that you can make it through 56 years of your life and still not know some things.
Yeah, I mean, in those little villages, it's math is not really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just doesn't happen very often because, they're just doing all kinds of weird stuff there.
Gourds.
They got gourds and
gourds and gourds and gourds.
October festivals, like bead festivals and stuff, and Lord knows they don't count them. So
sometimes they have 2 or 3. Sometimes they don't even have any.
And
they don't know how many they've had because they don't count them.
They don't count them, and it doesn't matter to their culture, and that's the point. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. That's our advertisement for today.
That's our sponsor shout out, if you will.
Yeah. So remember, it's Stephanie Grunbaum.
Email
Stephanie Grunbaum at One Horsetown Studios.net.
That's her pager number. You send that, and then you stand by a payphone because she's calling you back. You don't have to send that number.
She's gonna call you back pretty soon. She's quick. She's real quick, and she doesn't take on a lot of customers because she spends a lot of time with her customers, and so don't expect to get in right away.
Mm-hmm.
Takes a while.
Addy, you want to hear a joke?
I would like to hear a joke. Thank you.
Here goes.
Thanks.
Roses are gray. Violets are gray. I'm a dog.
You're a dog.
That's right. That's why they're gray. That's related to it.
Oh, man.
in virtue of the fact that I'm a dog.
It's always surprises with this one. So, yeah.
Screen went dark.
Screen went dark. Sometimes the screen goes dark, but that's because it's...
Have you ever known somebody who's concerned about power? Maybe somebody who was advocating for the electric car before it was killed by the GOP. Well, then you know somebody who's like me, because let me tell you, friend, if I'm using up energy that I don't need with my computer box, then I am not happy about it. So that's a little thing that you can...
You got a problem with it? Call United Power and see what they think about it.
Say, let me get some statistics.
Because they don't like it.
Some statistics. God, there's glass all over the place. Somebody put glass all over the place over here. All right. Hello. So while we're ready here, we got some questions like we normally do from inquiring minds who want to take from us the full bounty of our learning forever.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We want you to know that it's been almost a year since we've started this gig.
Mm-hmm.
And...
we're telling any tales out of school if we say that we learned a thing or two about this whole process.
And if we did learn a thing or two, then why shouldn't we impart that knowledge on some people who
we would be selfish if we didn't just give it to you.
So we're going to do it. We're going to give it to you tonight. And we have a number of questions that have come in.
4, that's the number.
We've had 4 questions in our mailbag this I don't know, time period from the last video.
Sesquicentennial. But we had more than 4, but we took out the love letters, which are like
we're not vain.
And then we took out the requests for Facebook friendship.
Which we don't always honor, by the way.
We ask that the internet send us all of our emails also in letter form.
Yes.
So
the internet is
it's fine, but it's a passing fad.
And the internet's really been pretty cooperative with us. We do, I wouldn't call us needy, but we do make some requests, and the good people at the internet have really come through for us. They've really given us a lot of options, and yeah, so we get hard copies of all of our email letters, or e-letters, and we like to read them before we go to bed.
I like to read them other times too, but also when I go to bed.
Yeah, I spend 23 hours of my day in deep thought outside in the
wherever.
But I spend an hour reading fan letters, and some of them aren't very good.
I don't spend that long. I got to admit, I don't spend that long reading them, but I read them.
And it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter where you go with it.
Yeah, what do you know? Do you
doesn't
know?
Matter.
You don't know?
I don't know.
All right. So we had 4 that we picked for this time that we think they're all together.
They're together, and we've learned so much in the last,
I like that when you bang on the table.
We've learned so much in the last year, and our mountain adventures have really, really learned us a lot about things.
They lit a fire under me. Let me tell you.
Without that fire, man, where would you be?
I don't know.
We've learned. Here are a couple of things that we've learned.
Number 1.
Number 1, how to build a cabin.
Mm-hmm. Number 2.
You know how we build cabins?
No.
You don't pay attention to the board.
To the governor.
Governor.
To the governor, to
So,
the board of governors.
We learned that.
Yeah.
We learned so much.
Yeah, that was just one thing we learned.
We learned who our friends are.
Who our fathers are. We learned that.
We learned
too.
who our fathers are, and that's a big one. That's a real.
Mine
big
was
one.
who I thought it was.
I learned a lot about it because I figured out that that I'm not actually. I don't have any relations.
Mm-hmm. What?
So here's how it works. Basically,
Right. Yeah.
You don't have any. I've always existed,
Mm-hmm.
and I've existed roughly in this,
Spatiotemporal plane.
Yeah, in the plane that I'm in,
Right.
and so there are 6 different planes. The first 2 are the astral trigonomic planes,
Right.
where there's not very much things to say.
Yeah.
The other 2 planes are the human planes, and one of them, the first one, is the regular human plane, which is the one that most of you belong to because you're not, you're fine. There's just, but you're not that
There's
cool.
just so much
and
to
then
say.
there's another one that's called the Addy plane, where you get to be like me. There's only one person in that one, and that's me. So that's all the 6 planes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Tell us something we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you have heard this before. I've written a lot about this, and you've probably read my secret blogs, which I implore you not to do anymore.
Please stop. I don't know about it.
Better not know anything about them.
All right. So here we go.
Should we do the questions?
Here we go. Here are the questions that you have for us. All right. Here's the first one. This is a question from Grin Travers from Newark, New Harmon. It says, I know, life is incongruous. It says, after 1 year in the mountains, what can you tell us about crickets? I gotta tell you, I didn't see a single cricket this whole year, but I don't think it's the same story for this guy.
Man, you really want us to get into crickets, Grin. All right.
I've seen photographs of them, but
we'll get into crickets.
never
a
real one in life.
Here's a story about a day in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up and I gotta take all the cricket parts out of my teeth because the crickets are all over me and when I sleep. Then when I go to the bathroom when I wake up, I actually have to,
bifurcate the crickets.
I have to bifurcate the crickets. I actually go to the bathroom on the crickets because that's all there is, and it's not like this in the winter because the winter is too cold for them. They go away. They go down into the leach field, but we won't get into that.
It's out there.
And then when I take a shower, I take what we call around here a cricket shower, where the crickets are your shower. And then that's about it. But you know what? We did find, and it's really rare, we did find a substance that we at Target called Crick X.
It's called Crick X. I remember when we bought it, but I don't remember why.
We sort of, it was one of those things. We were in Target goofing around, being goofs and making, I don't know.
Just throwing vases from person to person. Using
playing hot potato. And
that's That's an understatement.
And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that happens at Target, but you know what? We came into possession of this Crick-X
We bought it.
substance. We
We
bought
bought
it. We didn't steal it. Okay. We have it, though, and
I know what it is.
we've only used a little bit of it because it's, I don't know. I like crickets. It's not that bad.
So potent.
Very, very potent.
Super potent.
If we used all of the Crick-X that we have, there would be not a single one.
There'd be
not a single
more.
cricket
There'd
left.
be no more crickets in the world. You could say goodbye to crickets.
You could say goodbye to them, and you wouldn't even have to. You wouldn't even have to wait around for them to
You'd
leave.
have all the money you needed after that.
And if I had a dime,
For every cricket killed.
every cricket killed.
How many
Boy.
crickets do you think there are?
That's a question that I've thought about before,
Mhm.
and you know, I actually tried to count all the crickets once, and I got to like 7 before I was like, "Whoa, too many crickets." So I just stopped.
What I don't like about them isn't their little legs. It's the fact that they play violin.
When you're trying to sleep,
When
especially,
you're trying to do anything.
they really, gosh, they play that violin so loud, and
It's like it's their favorite instrument.
it's like it's their favorite instrument. And there's actually a cartoon cricket named after this phenomenon, and his name is Jim Cricket. Jimmy
Cricket.
Jimmy Cricket.
If you didn't know about our limb lord is also a violin player.
Yeah. If you could get that our landlord's number up on the screen here for a second.
His home telephone number.
Home telephone number. There it is. Then call that and talk to him about crickets. Man, he will never let you off the hook, the phone hook.
When you
about
say
it. He'll just keep
when you
talking
say
to you
okay,
about it.
it's time to go, he's gonna say, "Oh, really?"
Oh, let me tell you about crickets for a second here. And it never
He's
ends.
gonna say,
It just
"You are
never
so
ends.
cool," is what he's gonna say.
And then you go, Mr. Landlord, please, I've got to go. I really need to wash my fingers off. And he'll go,
I know that.
I got a story about fingers and crickets for you.
We won't spoil it, but
We won't spoil the story because you might want to
give
call
him a
him.
call and maybe he'll tell it to you.
So call the number. It's right up there.
But pretty much the moral of the story is that cricket in, cricket out. That's what I always say. There's not a lot more that you can do when you're confronted with a timetable, with a schedule.
And when they're put there, and there's nothing that you're supposed to do about it.
Yes, but there are things that you can do.
You can do things about it.
I'm not supposed to do any of them,
But you're not supposed to do any of them. So if you know what you're doing, think about that.
think about it even if you don't. But
Thanks, Grin. Grin Travers, everybody from
yeah, great.
Newark. Now,
I'm
Naram.
hoping that after that you're going to be okay with your cricket situation.
please never ask us questions about crickets again. Thank you.
Right. Just don't ask us any more questions. You're done.
Yeah.
We're not going to.
We only take one question from each person. We actually have a list of all the people who've
You know how
ever
many
asked us
people are in the
questions.
world? Like 70 million.
It's right up there on the fridge.
Over there. It says, Commandment 1, only one question per person, okay?
And then there's a list.
Of all the questions that have been asked.
All the questions that have been asked and all the questions that you're allowed to ask from now on.
All the questions that haven't been asked yet, but you're allowed to. It's a big list full of questions.
Should we go on to the next question?
Sure, go ahead.
I really like this question. This question is about one of our favorite topics. You know what that is?
Yeah, but I don't want to spoil it.
Trees.
Trees.
And this question comes from Trey Trivers. Trey Trivers just lives right down the road here in Goldstone, London. Trey Trivers asks, after 1 year in the mountains, what can you tell us about trees? And gosh, we have basically an encyclopedic knowledge.
I can tell you one thing: they're never where you left them. If you look out and you say one day, "Oh, this is great right here," but over here there's too many trees, it might not be that way the next day.
You never know where trees.
Do not make the mistake that some people make of thinking that trees are a constant. Trees are flux and flow, man. They wax and wane, just like pretty much anything that you have ever heard about.
This is so right. I can't even stress how important it is that you pay attention to what's being said here.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem.
It's fine. There's no big deal here. But if you ever have your own home sometime, you just watch. You plant a tree outside someday and see what happens when you walk outside the next day. Trey.
Now, there is one thing. If it's got to be a live tree. So if you build your home out of dead trees, if you kill a tree, if you murder a tree, and then you make your house out of that tree and even other trees, then it'll stay put.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who do this, and I just can't even believe it. There are a lot of people who will actually try to tell you that trees don't go anywhere because they're dead.
Look, when you cut down a tree, does it not bleed sap? Does it not stop growing? Do you think that just because a tree can't speak, that means that you're allowed to cut it down?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't hear any responses.
I don't hear any. Let us not fall victim to naive anthropocentrism.
That's right. If you take a dead tree and you put it in my face, don't even ask what'll happen.
I will throw up in your face, sir.
And it won't be nice. It won't be nice.
You won't like it. It won't be like some of those other times.
It won't be like the other times. They can never be the same again.
So that's the first thing that we know about trees.
And if you have any other questions about trees, believe me, we've got all the answers.
There aren't a lot of questions about trees, but we do have all the. That's how we can have all the answers.
Because it's not like
we're not tree experts.
Yeah.
But we do know all the answers that there are about trees because it's like knowing all of the answers that there are about gumballs.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of questions. Whoa,
not a lot of questions. That's right.
Where do they come from? Why are they the color that they are? How much money do they cost? They're always, the factory red and 25 cents. All right. A lot of answers to those questions.
It's not like there's more than an infinite number of questions.
Well, yeah.
About them. So basically, you're a big dummy for asking that question, Trey. Thank you, Trey Trivers, for that.
There's no going back now. Can't go back now.
Some of these questions, sometimes I think are just.
I think that they might be made by a computer. When I read them, I think that.
Honestly makes me wonder. You know what they do with computers nowadays?
They do
a lot of things with computers.
At least this. I went to the Gap to buy a wool scarf the other day, and do you know what they had ringing me up? A computer. They had a computer that told me how much it cost,
That's
and
incredible.
It took my money and then gave me the rest of the remainder.
I went
from
to.
Me to him.
I went to Safeway the other day, and there was actually a computerized person there working.
It's a robot.
It was a robot, and I couldn't even understand a word that it said. And some of you who don't understand computers might ask why I couldn't understand a word that it said. Well, let me tell you, because it's a computer, not a person.
Right.
I don't understand computer speak, and I actually, even if I could, I would refuse to understand computer speak because why should I? And they didn't get my permission to do it.
If they don't like it in this country, they can just leave.
They can leave, and they can go back to Pluto.
Planet Pluto.
Or planet.
Former planet Pluto.
Or whatever it is, Man, I don't know where people come up with this crap.
I don't know where you people get off.
But it really bugs me, Really, really bugs me.
Really sets my knickers aflame.
Thanks, Trey. Thanks a lot. That was a really cool
That
question.
was fine.
You used up your question on something really dumb. Thanks a lot. Really,
I mean, trees aren't dumb.
No. Oh, no. No.
So you respect a tree or else
But,
you will get disrespected yourself.
But we know people from Goldstone, and it's not really
It's not a hub of academia.
It's not academic in the least,
Nope.
I would say. And I would say that even if it were academic, it's not good enough.
It's going to make a difference.
It's not going to make a difference in anybody else's lives. So
look around.
But you get it. You get it, Trey. You get it, right?
You get it?
You get it.
It's fine.
It's not bad.
It's fine. All right. Next question. Question number 3 of 4. 75. When we answer this question, we're 75% of the way done. This one's from a gentleman named Kip Whale Knacker. Kip lives at the sea. And
Kip is actually, I know Kip.
I've never met him, but he knows how to get in touch with this show.
Yeah.
The internet show.
Yeah.
Kip says, after 1 year in the mountains, what can you tell us about bears? What can't we tell you about bears?
That's a better question, to be honest. It would take less time to answer that question.
Really? Yeah.
Let
me tell you, first of all, they're all named Barry. And that's not a joke.
Named Barry,
that's not a joke. The men bears and the woman bears and the children bears, the littler ones, they're all named Barry, which is fine because bears can't talk. So it's not like they get confused by calling each other's names, but it is, if you're a human trying to keep in touch with a specific bear that you know, you can't
kind of hard.
Just write Barry.
There was a bear
on the thing.
We came outside 2 days ago, and there was a bear right here on our deck, and we said, Barry, get out of here, Barry. And guess what? Bunch of other berries showed up. Mm-hmm. They thought we were talking to them.
Well, we got rid of the first one, but then other ones showed up, so it was a net loss on our part.
Yeah, and there was you just get a lot of bears. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it. When you live up here, it's just...
Bears are like moths. That's what people say up here.
That's what they say.
Have you ever seen a moth? And we're like, well,
I've actually never encountered a moth up here.
Oh, no, I mean when you're downstairs.
Oh,
there are
sure,
a lot of
yeah.
moths.
Sure,
and
yeah.
people say, have you ever encountered a moth? And you say, well, sure, yeah. And they say, well, up here, bears are the new moths.
And man, is it true?
Uh-huh.
I will tell you what, it's a real jungle out there.
You turn on a light and you got bears buzzing around.
You got the bears.
I'm making that noise. It's not a bear. It does sound like a bear though. Listen to that. Yeah. Bears.
Thanks, Kip.
Without invigorating questions like that, our jobs would just not be worth living.
Thanks, Kip.
Question number 4.
Okay. Here's the question number 4 for you.
For you young whippersnappers out there.
Gentle ladies and men.
Bears.
Here it is. This question comes from a good friend of ours, actually. This is a guy we've known for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. I've known him for 54 years.
54.
Just not as much as some people have known him, but I've known him for that.
I haven't known him that long, but we know so many people. It's hard hard to keep track. I wouldn't be surprised if your number was a little off.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at anything anymore, really.
This question comes from Denny Galbucci. Denny Galbucci is a great man who lives in Rucksack, Oregon, who
It's right over there.
has sent us actually a number of questions, but this is the first time we've ever tried to answer one of them because we don't give priority to our friends, which is one of the great things about us.
Just because you're our friend doesn't mean you're going to make it to the end. That's what I always say.
That's right, and then just because you're a friend, it doesn't mean that you're going to make it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say.
That's pretty good too.
So anyway, so Denny Galbucci's great question is the following. After I end this sentence, after 1 year in the mountains, what can you tell us about snow?
I can tell you one thing about snow. It ain't pretty.
That's the last thing that it is.
A lot of people that live down in town, in a lot of people who are like townies.
Like Trey Trivers, who lives in Goldstone, for example.
Yeah, that ain't the mountains, Trey. A lot of those people, they see some snow here and there, and they think, oh, how pretty it is to be snow, to be surrounded all by the snow. That's only because they only get a little bit of snow. Let me tell you, it is not something to mess around with. It is not a new toy.
You know, I've got a great analogy for how this works. So take that and then analogize it with the following.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that you are, Grin Travers from Newark, New Ermine.
New Ermine.
And New Ermine is obviously not here. And so Grin is there in New Ermine at the Mall of America. And it's
Is that
like...
where it is?
It's in New Ermine, yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's actually right outside Newark, but it's basically right there. Now, say you're at the Mall of America, and then you travel from Newark, New Ermine to the
Flats? Are you talking about the flats?
the flats. You go from Newark to the flats, which is like crazy snow. So you go from the Mall of America to a bunch of snow, basically.
And you get
and
there
I don't
and everybody
understand,
is driving in their one-wheel drive cars.
And how could you possibly compare
Those two places together?
The things. How could you compare those things if you don't even know?
Those cars just go like this, around and around and around.
Gosh, it's just really, but these are the things that you learn when you come up to this place.
You take the good, you take the bad.
And sometimes you got to leave it where it lies.
Sometimes you got to leave it till later, and sometimes you got to pick it up right now because there might not be any time later if you don't pick it up right now for you to do it.
Yeah.
And you got to be a good judge of when
it comes down, when the block comes down, because you don't know when the block's going to come down. And if you try to tell me, when the block comes down, you're
a liar.
So full of it. You don't know.
You know you don't know.
You don't know when the block's going to come down on you. Let me tell you, I've had a block come down on me before.
Mm-hmm. You gotta just get out of there. So when there's snow around, one of the best things that we've found to do is just put it all in one place.
If you put it all in one place, you get rid of it in other places.
You can keep an eye on it easier too. It's over here and over here and over here.
Yeah.
Woo!
And it's
put it right here.
You really feel trapped sometimes in the snow. But when you put it all in one place, guess what gets trapped?
The snow gets trapped.
Snow gets trapped.
I knew a guy who would also put a fence around his snow after he collected it all up. And so there was no confusion about whose self was trapped.
And that's not a bad idea, folks.
That's not a metaphor either.
And it's not a metaphor. It's not that at all. So
So get your priorities straight.
You have this is why they call them snow fences.
Is that right?
Because they put them around the snow when you put it in one spot.
It's like why they call prisons people fences.
And that's exactly right. They call them people fences because you put them around the people.
And they know who's trapped. They are.
They're trapped, and there's nothing that they can do about it.
Maybe try.
You know, and that's just.
Shame.
I wouldn't want to live anywhere else other than in a democracy.
I wouldn't get it.
So, if you don't get it, then yeah.
I like living here because the rules are so simple. The rules are really simple. You say what you want, and then it happens if enough people also say that. Period.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably right, and
I wouldn't like another way of doing things because it'd be too complicated for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like what you see. What you see is what's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people. I say, look, you want to be a friend? You want to be my friend? We can be friends, but here are the ground rules.
That's what he said to me.
You got to know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and we've got to be able to communicate that, you know? And
if you get off track, then nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
You get off track, no one's going to find you.
What do you think?
No one's going to find you, and no one's going to hear you.
Beacons and air?
Because it doesn't happen like that. It's not it. And by the way, air and beacons are part of what we call science.
It's a luxury for the wicked.
And you know what? Science is not all right. It's not all it's cracked up to be. And sometimes you got to change science so that you can live your own life. And that's
sometimes
what we
you
do.
got to say enough is enough, old man.
Yeah. Air?
Come on.
How am I talking if there's so much air between me and the
How come nobody's ever seen it?
How come no one's ever seen the freaking air? When I talk, what is it? How does my voice even go anywhere if it's blocked by the air?
Letters come out of my mouth, bro, and they go into your eyes or
wherever. I mean,
here-ish area.
It hits you in the face,
right in them.
And yeah, so I mean, I just don't. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here or anything, but it's not like
I can't even see one.
No, and if you were on a soapbox, you would know that air is not a real thing. So
you get up high enough, you could see right over the lies.
So get off of it.
All right, thanks, Denny Galbucci.
Thank you, Denny Galbucci. Great Denny Galbucci from Rucksack, Oregon, which is a great place to go if you like fine places.
It's fine if you're looking for a place that's okay.
If you're looking for like a place that's not bad and it's not really good either.
Nothing is gonna happen to you here.
Yeah, Rucksack, or Oregon is a really cool place. And yeah, so it's a good job, Denny. Good job.
Thanks for all you've done for us today. Well, we're getting near the end here, Addy.
You know, I suppose we are getting to the end here. Maybe we should tell our listeners that this is a video that is accompanying a nice celebration that we're having.
It's a live raccoon celebration.
So we're having the very first ever live raccoon celebration. It's a live raccoon party, and they're going to be some. I don't know if they're going to be any raccoons. It's not about that. It's not about whether
raccoons.
It's not about whether they're going to be any raccoons or not. So get your facts straight.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that this isn't a shirt? I painted it on myself. This is body paint.
And why wouldn't you believe it? Ask yourself that for a minute.
So this is number 1 of 4 in the month. So you keep your eyes peeled. You keep your ears to the ground. You know you're gonna be okay.
You never know what's gonna happen next.
You don't. But let me leave you with this. Just stay out of the way of the tax collector.
stay out.
Fresh out the box. Stop, look and watch. Ready, yet? Get set. It's all